and you work 12 hours a day every day for like a year, and you're just grinding, you make a mistake, you learn from it, you grind, you make a mistake, you learn from it, and you do that for like a year. And then imagine a different world where you have 4 friends who are also equally grinding in something similar. Friend number 1 makes a mistake on Friday, he teaches the other 4 people. Friend number 2 makes a mistake the next week, teaches everyone. And then like you're all learning from each other's mistakes. You're all constantly studying 24/7 and downloading each other. Like after a year, you're like 2 years ahead of the guy who was just solo.
Welcome to the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy, where you will learn the tips, tricks, and strategies he teaches his world-class clients to give you the skills to dominate any business.
What's going on, Mindset by Design crew, and welcome to episode 399. Hope you're awesome as always. 399, one away from the big 400. You know, I'm pumped about that. That's a big milestone in a podcast career. 400 episodes. That's like 400 hours of you listening to me. And if you've been around since the start or near the start, or at least from 0 to 100. That's 0. 1 to 100 is probably better. 0 is probably when it was in my imagination, But if you've been around that long, then hey, reach out. I'd love to hear from you, whether it's my personal email address or it's the show notes or it's in the group or it's on social, somewhere. Message me. I'd love to see what number you started listening to Mindset by Design. It's been a long journey. We've had so many incredible episodes, so many world-class guests. I've pumped out so much content for you to really step into who you really are if you took all boundaries off what's possible. Remember, if you're a new listener, and yes, we're still getting new listeners every single day, podcast is still growing strong. And if that's you, what we're here on about Mindset by Design, we're about building new behaviors, new ways of thinking, feeling, and acting using my system, which is neurovisual conditioning. We're conditioning the nervous system and brain to respond in the unknown, especially when you're scaling, growing an online business. We all need a little bit of help. And the way I treat you and train your brain is from working with some of the best people in the world and work with a lot of world champion athletes. And I transition your brain and nervous system, basically you being a badass in your head, and we change it over to being a badass in real life. And that's what we do. So it's a combination of NLP, neuroscience, gamification, behavioral psychology, 20 years of wisdom, and some awesome other stuff. And that's what I do. So make sure that you're subscribed. Make sure that you're writing me a review. Make sure that you're sharing this content because, well, it's going to help somebody else. Plain and simple. That's all I'm here for. And speaking of helping, we've got episode 400, the big 400 coming up. And what I'm going to do is something a little bit different. So if you're not a member of my Facebook group, we've got 3,000 people in there. Go and join. Why? Because next Friday, I'm going to be doing a live show. Yeah, live show. I'm going to be doing a live show with my partner in the world, Stephanie Matos, or Matos as she likes to say, but it's Matos, you know what I mean? I got this accent, I got to say it my way. And we're going to be doing it live in there. She's been on the show many times over the past, so type in Stephanie Matos and you will... you'll find that. But she's going to be live with me in the group, and we're going to do a badass 400 episode. Going to share some stories. You get to know me a lot better from behind the scenes. You realize how crazy I really am, and you might relate, you know what I mean? So join us. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to put the group link in the show notes, but just head over to Andy Murphy. You'll find the page, and you can head over to Andy Murphy and you'll find the group. But sound good? Awesome. And today's episode is awesome too. Mr. Beast. Yes, I've featured these clips quite a few times now, but this guy just amazes me more and more, you know. By far the biggest YouTuber in the world. He's 24 years old. I think he's got about 8 different companies. He's got charities. He's got his own range of burgers that are in like 400 different places across the US. He's got, as I say, charities that feed millions of people a year. He spends, I think it's like $60 million on the videos he creates. He's not interested in really money. What he's interested in is creating awesome content that you're going to love. And even if it's not your thing, you know, his audience is younger, obviously, right? But he's getting 100 million views a video. So you've probably got to listen to what he does, and especially when you look into his psychology, because his psychology is so wise. But he's been doing this game for 15 years, you know what I mean? It's not new. So if you've been doing something for 15 years, you're kind of good at it. Well, as long as you're good at it, right? But he is. I've been doing my game for 20 years, you know, so it puts it into comparison. I'm a lot older than him, you know what I mean? And his wisdom about running companies is so wise. His wisdom about being a high performer is so wise. And it only comes from experience. That's it. It only comes from experience. So this is what today's about. I think it's top 10. I think it's these top 10 tactics to be able to kick ass and be a world-class entrepreneur or drive traffic like Jimmy knows best. That's his name, by the way, Mr. Beast, Jimmy. Just so you know. You might not know, but now you do. So I'm going to jump into this episode. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to chop up these clips and then we're going to apply it to you. Absolutely. And speaking of applying something, you got to apply some action now. Why? Because you're going to want to. You're going to want to. What did I say last week? What went live today? Something amazing for you to sink your teeth in. If you are an entrepreneur doing an online business, that means you are in growth mode. And if you're in growth mode, then you're going to need this video. It's actually way more than a video. It's extremely technical, but I've made it so simple. And what this video is about is training. It's a 10-minute training that will unlock the exact brain science I use with 6, 7, and 8-figure founders to perform at a world-class level as they step into a rapid growth phase heading towards their freedom. And it's all without overwhelm, stress, anxiety, and freaking out. And I'm going to show you in these 10 minutes, I pretty much guarantee, and you can message me and tell you, Andy, that video sucked. But I know it's going to be awesome because I know in that 10 minutes is going to show you more about how your brain, your performance, your patterns, the snapback effect, all of these things is going to show you so much more than probably $1,000 course that you've taken somewhere else about mindset. Because this isn't about mindset. This is about training you, your business brain, like a pro athlete so you can fast track to 7 and 8 figures in 2023. And if that's what you want, then head over to the show notes or simply head over to unfairadvantage.online. That's it. And go and watch the video. It's pretty epic. As I say, it's 10 minutes and it's Thrive as You Scale Mindset Master Plan. I would charge you $97, but today you can get it for free. So go over there. If you're in Amazon, Shopify, e-commerce, dropshipping, agency, a digital entrepreneur, even a coach, and you're growing an online business, this is the number one action that you must take today. Unfairadvantage.online.
I was offered $5,000 for a video. But this was when I was like 19. I was like, double it. And I'll walk outside and I'll give it to a homeless person. And they're like, no, you won't. And I was like, double it. And I was like pacing around my neighborhood for 3 hours convincing this guy, like on the phone, just double the money. I promise the video will go viral and I'll give it to homeless person. I was like, $10,000 just looks better in a title. It'll get more views. I promise your app will do better.
Okay, crew, Fast and Furious, right? Told you this was going to be a goodie. Jimmy, Mr. Beast, that was 19. That's a great little story, right? So what did he do automatically? He knew that if he became a contrarian, he showed something that's different, that's going to hook, right? Then guess what? People are going to watch that video. And it's the same with everything in marketing, right? It's the same with everything as a brand. It's the same with anything inside of you. What makes marketing or a brand unique isn't necessarily these hooks. Now, they're gonna kick ass, right? They're gonna kick ass. But if nobody like Jimmy, if Jimmy was a dick, right? Mr. Beast was a dick, then no one would watch those videos. But the thing is, Jimmy's a really nice guy. And what did he do? He wants to help people. I promise you, if you study Mr. Beast, his biggest number one thing that makes him happy is this charity. All of these businesses are directed to generate money, to pump in, to make more videos so they get more views, so he makes more revenue, so he can put that revenue into what? Yeah, into his charity so he can help more people. So instantly, imagine if he gave the 10 grand to you. We'd all be happy. But imagine if you give 10 grand to a homeless person. Now, the homeless person might abuse it and destroy that money, but it might also set him up to change his life. And so that one contrarian, that one hook, which is golden, created his career. Think about that. You start to earn money, and I think that was the one that actually earned him $20,000 when he was 19, and his mum was going to kick him out the house, and he had to make it work, and he did, right? So I want you to think about that in your brand. I want you to think about that with your next post. I want you to think about how you can be more of you and lean into that dominant emotion that's inside of you, and you can share that, because as I say, people like people they like, and if they like you, they're gonna click that like. Did you like that? Thought you might.
A lot of times people, oh boy, it's like they think their videos are better than they are, honestly. And
tell them, Jimmy, tell them.
I mean, they do that, and they have horrible friend groups, because you really are like the type of YouTubers you hang around. It's getting people with the right YouTuber friend group that aren't pussies and will actually tell them when their content's bad and like actually roast it and help them get better in a nice, positive way.
Think about that one, right? Think about that one. He was talking about specifically about YouTubers, and he goes into a story in a second, which you're gonna like. But he talks about specifically about being around, associating with YouTubers. Why? Because it has a collective consciousness, right? But he's also talking about yes men, for sure. And people at this stage of his career is gonna get a lot of yes men, but he keeps his circle small. And there's a reason, right? Because what's the old saying? We become like the top 5 people that we hang around with. And I've shared this in so many aspects over the years of doing the podcast. So many different ways, explaining how the brain replicates, all of this stuff. But the truth is, we have to sometimes look at who we are around the most. Because are they pulling you down, or are they pulling you up? That's a big difference, right? Because who you want to be around is people potentially are multiple years ahead of you at the game that you want to play. That's the optimum. Why? Because they'll hold you at a higher standard than you hold yourself. And if you do that, then you have to expand, you have to grow, you have to change. And because you do that, then you fast track all of your results. But if you're around the wrong people, it doesn't matter who it is, right? It could be people who have just got a different focus. It could be people doing stupid stuff in life, or it could be people that are holding you back. But it doesn't matter. You being around the wrong vibe of people is going to then change how you see the world and ultimately how you see yourself. Because we all come down to the average of what is in there, right? Because it's hard to lead a tribe if everyone loves baseball, right? It's hard to, and you love baseball, obsessed with baseball. I've only watched one game of baseball. I don't know why I'm talking about baseball. But if you love baseball, play baseball, everything about baseball, and then you try and lead a team who are doing, I don't know, football, right? English football, of course, English football, not these American football, but if that's totally different games. You aren't going to be able to lead one team with the same passion, with the same knowledge, with the same enthusiasm than you could if you were in the right sport. The other side of it is there's a big difference from a amateur game to a high-level professional game, right? So if you were an average player, but you hung around with people who were amateurs, do you think you might get better? Well, yeah, you probably get better, you get good feedback, all the rest of it. But now, if you put yourself around the professionals, right, and that's who you were around 7 days a week, do you think your game would accelerate? Of course it'd accelerate, right? And that's the power of community, and that's why I love to build communities. That's what the Unfair Advantage Bootcamp and Academy is all about. I'm just obsessed about creating communities so we can all thrive together.
Basically what I did was I somehow found these other 4 lunatics. 3 of us were college dropouts, 1 was a high school dropout, and 1, I don't know, he just quit his job. We were all super small YouTubers, and we basically talked every day for 1,000 days in a row and did nothing but just hyper study what makes a good video, what makes a good thumbnail, what's good pacing, how to go viral. We would just get on Skype every morning, and some days I'd get on Skype at 7 a.m. and I'd be in the call until 10 p.m. and then I'd go to bed, I'd wake up and I'd do it again. We'd do things like take 1,000 thumbnails and see if there's a correlation to the brightness of the thumbnail to how many views it got.
So I just mentioned there, didn't I, about groups and communities and making sure that you're around the right tribe. So here's a little addition to that. So the people that you're around right now, or you want to be around, or you should be around, right? Are they absolutely obsessed? Think about that. Are you obsessed? Because obsession in the right direction is what creates ultimate results. Because if you aren't obsessed with your growth internally and externally, how do you think that you are going to reach the levels that you want to? How do you think you're going to scale? How do you think that you're going to get to where you want to get to if you're not obsessed? Because the truth is, life is, if you don't know if you noticed, it's a little tough out there, man. The world gets crazier. We all want to escape this matrix and get freedom. And the truth is, it's if we aren't obsessed with being in that next stage, if we aren't obsessed with our own growth constantly, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, if we aren't obsessed with that, then it's going to take longer. Plain and simple, right? And if it takes longer, nothing wrong with that, right? Nothing wrong with that. We can't all be like young Jimmy who just doesn't have to pay bills and then just obsessed with looking at 1,000 thumbnails to see what converts with another 4 of his mates for 1,000 days in a row. But what you can do is your ultimate best. And that obsession makes... The ultimate obsession is a world champion. The ultimate obsession is an Olympic gold medalist. The ultimate obsession is like a billionaire, right? Now, there's consequences to the obsession, so we have to keep it awareness around it, because obsession can also be self-destructive. It can be a negative, it can be a positive, but if we allow ourselves to be constantly internally evolving and growing, then what does that do? It gives you a direct reflection or a mirror to how your business is going to grow. Because I know for a fact, if I can look at your business, I know what movies are playing in your head. I know what patterns are there. I know what your behaviors are. I know what your self-talk is. I know what your focus is. I know what your discipline is. And If your business is shitty, then I know all of those things are in a different focus, right? They can be in a negative, a self-destructive pattern. They can be, all of that obsession can be very damaging. But if we point it in the right way, by surrounding ourselves with the right people, by putting our brain into the right things, our visuals, our auditory, our feelings, if we put it all into the right things with that same obsession, that's how you create an incredible 2023.
Imagine a world where it's just you working solo and you work 12 hours a day every day for like a year, and you're just grinding, you make a mistake, you learn from it, you grind, you make a mistake, you learn from it, and you do that for like a year. And then imagine a different world where you have 4 friends who are also equally grinding in something similar. Friend number 1 makes a mistake on Friday, he teaches the other 4 people. Friend number 2 makes a mistake the next week, teaches everyone. And then like you're all learning from each other's mistakes. You're all constantly studying 24/7 and downloading each other. Like after a year, you're like 2 years ahead of the guy who was just solo.
Do you frequently go that far out of your way to capture the thumbnail?
Yeah, I mean, of course, everyone should. If people don't click, they don't watch. So you want to give them something to click. Something a lot of people forget is like unsuggested on phones, thumbnails are really fucking small. So like people are editing thumbnails full blown on their computer. And when you shrink it down, you can't see. We try to all around be above the rest. Anyone can clickbait, but do you actually like deliver on it? We say we put 100 million Orbeez in the backyard, we put 100 million Orbeez in the backyard. Your title and thumbnail set expectations. Like what you're saying is like, I like bananas. And what you need is, bananas are the best goddamn food on the planet. Like that's the type of opinion you need. Like you need something like, how to get 100 million views on YouTube, or not even that, that's not strong enough. You need something that makes people go, what the fuck? What the fuck did he say in that video? What the fuck? I need to know. At the very beginning of the video, to minimize drop off, you want to assure them that those expectations are being met. If you're putting 1 million Orbeez in a pool, don't start the video with you shopping for, your mom's birthday present. At the beginning of the video, just say, this is 100 million Orbeez. We're gonna fill this pool and this entire backyard with them. Match the expectations, and then you want to exceed them. So you want to assure people that what they clicked on is what they're getting, and then blow their mind and be like, but you're also getting even more. Anytime you say the word algorithm, just replace it with audience. The algorithm didn't like that video? No, the audience didn't like that video. If I wasn't retaining a viewer, just would it make sense for you to promote it? Why would you promote a 10-minute video that people watch on average a minute and a half?
I mean, every video, even the stupid ones, I learned something, and that's something I try to make a very big point of, is like, no matter how bad we mess up, like we sometimes have videos that have horrible retention. It's just like, as long as you learn from it, it's not the end of the world.
Let's jump into that one. They were fast and furious, right? When I went through this before, they weren't as fast as furious, but hey, they are. Jimmy's cranking out knowledge today. But let's look at that one right there. If you make mistakes and you learn from it, it's not that bad. That's quite simple, quite profound, right? So last year, I don't know if you heard my episode a few episodes ago. It was actually last year, which is crazy, 20 days ago. But it was about my chaos of 2022, the lessons I learned, the little hacks, and to make 2023 an awesome, amazing year. And it's kind of the same thing here. And I've come out the gates 2023 and I'm on fire. I'm pumping. I was doing good last year, but this year is going to be a very, very special year. But why? Because I messed up or made lots of internal mistakes in 2022. So I'm going to make sure I've learned from those and my life now flows in a better, different direction. And as I say, it was still all right. It was still good, but I want great. Good isn't good enough for me. I want great. I want to be great. And what does that mean? It means, truthfully, being my best. If I eliminated my fears, my doubts, my leaning in or listening to other people's opinions rather than trusting my own, I would have even bigger success. Now that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be listening to other people. No, look, we've just gone over multiple little quotes from Mr. Beast saying that you should. But the truth is, it's your instinct. It's your intuition that is going to give you the ideas, pull you in a certain direction, pull you away from certain people, pull you towards certain people, right? Everything that's ever been created has come out of someone's imagination, right? Think about that, right? Even this microphone I'm talking on, this laptop, and it all come out of someone's imagination. So the thing you've got to understand about life is, well, your life comes out of your imagination. Does that make sense? It does, right? Every single thing. So you have to be able to lean in and be really self-critical. Now, self-critical means self-aware. It doesn't mean self-destructive. There's a big, big difference. Because if you don't have that team around you, then one, yeah, you're going to get them this year, aren't you? But it also means is that the community that you'll put yourself around is having to get to know you, and they're not going to be as truthful to you as you are to yourself. So as long as we keep learning, we keep growing.
Every YouTuber says it. It's like no one will ever be able to replicate my style. I gotta edit it. But newsflash, someone can. It's actually not as difficult as you think. It was good that I got a really strong foundation on how YouTube works and how the style of videos I wanted and everything before I scaled up the team, if that makes any sense. I just want to make sure that's clear, because I've seen people try to build the team without foundation and knowing how to do well. I know that if we film this video, it will do well, just because I've spent a decade of my life hyper obsessing over YouTube and I have a good pulse on it. But if you didn't have that, then you wouldn't know. Like, you wouldn't be able to spend $4 million on a Squid Game, because you might lose $2 million and then you can't pay your people. But of course, yeah, if I didn't have these people, I couldn't do half the stuff.
Well, because I launched the Unfair Advantage Bootcamp and Academy today, which is all about helping entrepreneurs as they move through the pressure of scaling. And that's what he's talking about, scaling. He's talking about growing. He's talking about expanding. And often we expand too fast. And I remember I had a client a while ago in a Amazon business, big Amazon business, doing 8 million plus a year. And he was always under this constant, business partners, but he was always under this constant to delegate before learning the skill or mastering the skill, or at least becoming a purple belt, maybe not a black belt, but at least a purple belt, right? In the skill. So what can happen is if you outsource those things too early, it means you don't understand the intricacies of that role or that system. So it's not going to be or perform at its highest level. So what Mr. Beast is talking about there, Mr. Jimmy is talking about, well, he learned the skill. He got to grips with it. He mastered it, right? With the obsessive nature that he has. He mastered it. So then he could systematize it. So then he could see what the problems were if somebody wasn't doing it at the standard that he wanted to do it. Does that make sense? So when you're growing your business, we have to take ultimate responsibility over every single part of that business until we understand it, we know it, and then we can systematize it, and then we can outsource it or delegate it. But if we're going too quick on that, then what happens is if you haven't built that foundation, then you're bringing in too many people, too many teams, too much ad revenue, too many systems just for the sake of having systems. And then what happens is none of them are performing, and then you're wondering what the hell happened.
For the last 8 or 9 years, every dollar I've made, I just spent it the next month on content. And I just did that every single month, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger, and here we are.
Since I was 13, there probably hasn't been a single hour that's gone by that I've been awake where I haven't thought about YouTube.
I'm just focused on making the best videos possible, period. I don't care about making money. I don't care about time. I don't care about anything. I just want to make the best videos on the planet.
Whoa. I had to jump in on that one. How many people, how many of you right now, are you listening right now, are you focused on creating the best product, the best service, the best value to that person, or are you focused on what you can get? Think about that. Really think about that. Are you focused on getting money, or are you focused on giving the best to that client? Do you see the difference? So Jimmy pumped all of his money in to him creating the best content, which he's in entertainment, right? So it's a little different, but there's the science behind it is unbelievable. But he focused on creating the best video because he knew if he created the best video, then it would create the best engagement, which would create money. So many entrepreneurs out there get this wrong. They get this wrong, like so wrong. I remember somebody, it was a few years ago now, and I remember, I've said about this on the podcast, I'm sure, as I say a lot of things on these podcasts, but someone messaged me, and they said, oh, you got like X amount of 1,000 people in your group, how much money do you earn? And I said, why? And they were like, well, I'm thinking about targeting this coaching industry, how much money do you think I could make? And I was like, wow. I messaged them back pretty straight away and said, dude, if you are trying to get into this industry just to make money, go away. What are you doing? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That's horrible. What are you doing? And he literally messaged me back and went, yeah, fair point. I'll have to rethink. You know what I mean? So what was his intention? And you know what? He probably would have earned a lot of money. And maybe he did get into it because there's a lot of bullshitters out there who are master marketers and they provide no value, or they think they're at such a high level with coaching and they have no idea what high level means, right? And it's that kind of breaks my heart. And it's something that you've probably heard many times, but it does break my heart. Because entrepreneurs at any level, they come to a coach as for a cheat sheet, a cheat code. You know what I mean? And I got that word from Jimmy. A cheat code, but they do. They want to create the smoothest, fastest experience to get the result. And they come to you because of the things that you've shown them that you can do, or told them you could do, or sold them through verbal, written, or marketing online. And that doesn't mean that you can create the result for people, but guess what? You've all had this experience, right? I posted a clip of an interview I did the other day on Instagram and my Facebook page. Not my profile, not my group, but the page. It's called Andy Murphy. And I got quite a few comments under it because it was like, yeah, I've had this experience. I invested with this person. I did this. I did that. Yeah, there's so much BS out there. And people who just aren't ethical. And people who just don't have the experience and they believe they do. And they learn, man. Because how can you create a longevity? How can you create a long-lasting brand? How can you really help all of those people if you're just taking? Doesn't make sense, and it drives me crazy. So learn from Jimmy.
Literally all the algorithm does is reflect what the people want to a T. And if you deny that, you just make terrible videos and are trying to find a scapegoat. We do our videos in other languages as well. If you Google it, it's like only less than 10% of the world speaks English. So 90% of the world can't even enjoy your content. And when I realized that, I was like, wait a minute, 90% of the world can't even watch this stuff. Like, we just started doing this like 6 months ago, and it's crazy like how viral some of these videos are going.
51 million.
In Spanish, the guy who does my dubs is the same guy who dubbed Spider-Man. We managed to convince him. So a lot of those comments are like, why does he sound like Spider-Man? Or is Mr. Beast Spider-Man? To me, what's important is click-through rate, getting people to click on your video,
and then average view duration, average view percentage, or just relative retention, and having them watch it. A lot of creators think click-through rate is just like the title and thumbnail and did they click it, but a lot of it too is, did they enjoy your last video? Because if someone watches a video of yours and they loved it, you can bet the next time you're recommended, their chance of clicking is a lot higher. Sometimes we're filming for 3 or 4 days, like 10 hours a day, 30, 40 hours of filming plus months of setup, whereas most creators probably film for a couple hours and set up for a day.
Outside of just filming, we brainstorm video ideas, relentlessly, hours every day.
By always doing all those things, it just distinctively sets it so far apart that it's basically, in my head, it's like, why would you not watch it?
Viewers aren't stupid. They can tell when you half ASS, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse, a video, or if you really put in effort. And if they can tell you're putting in a lot of effort, they're gonna be more likely to click on future videos. And that snowballs. And because once you build that trust, they get to a point where it doesn't matter what you upload. They just know it's high effort and they just know it's great. And they're just conditioned just to watch because you have a good track record. And so with filming, it's just trying to make sure we're doing everything we can, no matter how expensive it is, no matter how much time it takes, to make the best video possible. A lot of people, if they gave away 100 grand, they would make a huge deal about it. But sometimes we're just like, yeah, here's 100 grand. Thanks for watching, bye. Doing it that way makes it more fun and just more interesting. So I like to keep a little bit of it mysterious because I think that's what people enjoy.
A lot of people aren't willing to put in 10 hours days because they don't like what they're doing. So it's finding what they enjoy, because it is like a long grind. You're doing the for years, not months. So if you don't enjoy it, then you're gonna burn out. I just had the blessing of finding what I loved at a young age. So because to get to this level, it takes, a decade. Most people don't find what they love till their young 20s. So they'd be where I'm at in their 30s. Yeah. I just lucked out and found it when I was really young. Living your life chasing a nicer car and a bigger and bigger box to live in is kind of a dumb way to go about life. I actually, funny enough, I lived in a super below average home. And I kind of learned why famous people don't live in below average homes, because someone broke in, stole everything I owned. So I had to get a little nicer house for security reasons. But before I was robbed, my place is a little duplex, $700 a month. You get a roommate, it's $360.
I got to jump in there. I've heard Mr. Beast say this before, and in way more detail, to be honest, than in this clip. It's mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. What do you think his definition of success is? Well, it's definitely not the amount of money he's got in his bank, because he could take what he spends in a year on video content and just retire for the rest of his life and be a baller. But he doesn't. He pumps it back into the video. So his definition of success is very, very different to what the norm is taught through social media. People are tricked, man. They are being tricked. They're tricked to thinking a car and a house is success. And they will put that before their own happiness. They will put that before actually the service they're providing. They will show that to, it's only going to really attract lower level in people in scarcity or reactive mode, to be honest. If you showed a multimillionaire, look at my big house, you can get one of these too, then they're going to go, oh, what are you doing? But people who are in that scarcity and reactive mode, well, those are the people that go, oh, you've got a big house, I want that too. So it's very, very different, right? So Jimmy's not doing that in his marketing or his brand at all. Do you know what car he drives? Do you know what house he lives in? Do you know what he watches? No, because he doesn't show it, because he doesn't care, right? So when you really understand that, then it's look at it this way, right? Wealthy people, really wealthy people, the clients that I've had, and I'm doing okay, but really wealthy people, what they do is they buy cars and houses and watches, if you want to watch, but cars, and I haven't want to watch in years for a reason, but cars and houses, from the dividends or the profits of their investments. I'll say it again, right? Very wealthy people buy cars and houses from the dividends or the profits from their investments, not to spend their money first. If it isn't coming from their investments or an income stream that is separate, they do not buy it. Does that make sense? But what that gets taught is that becomes success, and it's not success. So it was interesting, Andrew Tate, before he got, I don't know what's happened to Andrew Tate. That's probably, it's probably right now, the words are getting picked up by AI somewhere, right? But Andrew Tate might have gone missing for good. But that's a whole different conversation. He was talking about in this clip, it was really, really good actually. He was saying, now everyone gets taught to go investments, but he gives it what you want to be doing. What's the point in putting $5,000 or £500 or 500? He was talking pounds, $500 into an investment. He gives it, stop focusing on that and use that money to work out how to make more cash flow, because that cash flow is what you need first to then put into investments. So there's stages, right? And you might go, I don't know what investments to put into. They're always going to be there. They're just going to maybe change, right? But if you're not focused on building cash flow, service first to get cash flow to get investments to then get assets, or non-income producing assets like cars, right? Or watches. Watches go up in value. Yeah. We'll see how long that lasts, right? Cars go up in value. Yeah, maybe if you've got a limited edition Ferrari, right? But no, they are not income producing, just like someone's home. A home goes up in value, Andy. Yeah, if you're in the right market somewhere, in the right bubble at the right time, they're gonna grow up. It's better to put that money into something else that's gonna grow, and then take those profits and then get a house, right? All different things. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, if you didn't gather, right? But I'm just telling you from my perspective. There's stages to this. So if you are in a big growth phase in your business, then use that money to grow your business, and then take that profit and put it into something that's going to make that money grow, and take that money that's growing and then buy your assets. Okay, so I'm not sure why I went down that path, but anyway, back to Jimmy.
People think just because you go for views means you can't have fun, but you can pull views and you can have fun, which is what we purposely try to do. If you're not doing something that's just inherently fun to you, you're just quit. Just give up. Like, you gotta at least semi-enjoy what you're doing, or you're gonna quit long before it gets to the point where it brings in money or whatever else could be driving you. So find what you love, and then I would just hyper obsess. Make sure no one doing what you're doing is doing it better. Make sure the videos are as good as possible. You can be motivated by more than one thing. I'm motivated because I want to support my mom and my family. I'm motivated because I want to employ my friends and help them. I'm motivated because I want to help other people. I'm motivated because I want to be a YouTuber. I feel like that's another misconception. You can have lots of things that drive you. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So there's just tons of stuff that drive me. And everything drives me to wanting to be a YouTuber, so I kind of obsess over it. For the people that are willing to be coachable, I would say just education. There is a lot of misinformation out there that people live and breathe by, the weirdest stuff. I gotta upload at midnight on Wednesdays or my videos don't do well. It's just dumb stuff like that just, they don't realize how badly they're handicapping themselves. Some minor tips I could give is if somehow you could have a payoff at the end, then more people are gonna watch the end just to see what happened.
Whichever one of these 456 people survives the longest wins 456 grand.
Cut out all dull moments, try not to over-explain things. If a camera just sits on me and I'm just talking for 20 seconds, it doesn't hold retention as well as, maybe me talking and other footage popping up. It's much easier to get 5 million views on one video than 50,000 views on 100 videos. It takes way less effort to get 5 million views on one video.
Back then, which I think small YouTubers should do, is I would reply to every single comment. And so I think a few people caught on that I would always reply. And so some people would just be like, I wonder how long it'll take for him to reply. So that was a lot of my comments when I was smaller, but at least it kept him coming back.
In your analytics, and most of you probably know this, audience retention. You can see where people click off. Just literally go through your last 50 videos, write down where everyone clicked off, and then just don't do those things.
I think that's a great place to end this episode, right? And that's thinking about 2022 to 2023, thinking about where you are now and where you're going to get to by the end of this year, thinking about the next stage of growth inside of your business, no matter what it is. And don't do what doesn't work. It's plain and simple, right? And and do more of what works. And you might have to go back in a year or two ago, and you might have to go back whenever it was and just look at yourself internally of what you were doing when you were on fire. What was giving you the unfair advantage over everybody else at the time, right? And then look at those analytics inside yourself as well as external, internal, and then, well, guess what? Then do the things that work again, right? So if you're around the wrong people, be around the right people. If you're making bad decisions, make good decisions. If you need to double down on something that makes you happier, then do it. If your health is a mess, sort it out. If your mind's a mess, sort it out. If you need to put yourself around next level mentors, then do it, right? The truth is, if you invest in yourself with hyper obsession, feeling amazing around the right people, building the foundation, then guess what's going to happen? You're going to win, right? And if you can learn to switch on, if you can learn to control your nervous system, your brain waves, your peak performance, your state, your communication, right? If you can learn to manage and handle and become the ultimate entrepreneur, and you can do it as fast as possible, then guess what happens? You are going to live an incredible journey in life as you grow your business. That's just what it is, okay? So crew, now it's a beautiful time to end episode 399. Woo! 399, the big one, 400 episodes next Friday. I'm going to record it live. Yes, live. Remember, Stephanie Matos, you can search through some episodes to get a grip of who she is, but she is, the other parts of my wheel, keeps me sane, keeps me on track, keeps me motivated, and she is a badass coach. She is a badass coach, spiritual business coach for entrepreneurial women, and she's going to bring that flavor. So make sure that you're heading to our group, my group, 3,000 of us in there. Come and hang out. There's loads of cool stuff that goes on. But I'm going to post it on my page, post it in the group, post it on where? Yes, in the show notes. And speaking in the show notes, if you are in online business, if you are growing right now, then you need to learn how to thrive while you're scaling. Go and grab right now. Go and get it. You need to get it. Go and get the 10-minute training that will blow your mind, and it will show you more in 10 minutes than probably a course that you spent $2,000 on. It will show you what you're doing wrong, and it will show you what you're doing right, and it will show you how to become that ultimate entrepreneur and give yourself an unfair advantage over your competition in 2023. Promise you, you will absolutely love it. So go there now, unfairadvantage.online, or go to show notes, click on the link, and go and watch it. You'll love it. You'll love it. Until the next time, I'll see you next week, episode 400. Pumped. Much love. Keep kicking ass. And, one more thing. Why don't you smile for me?
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy. We'll catch you next time.